Hey guys, it's Maggie Mylow here, and this is the next lesson in my beginning into acrylic. So we're going to talk about canvases today, and really it's not really about canvas, it's called a substrate. So we're going to just talk about that for a minute. But I wanted to just first of all say thank you for joining in for those of you who have decided to learn as we go along. Again, we are just doing our basic notebook for right now. We will get into doing painting and stuff like that, but this is going to be your resource book for later on when you do decide to join in, but at least that for right now you can do the notes. If you are joining along and you do have the supplies, thank you. And I would love to see your work. And where can you see that? You can see that over at the Facebook group, which is Maggie Mylow's Virtual Art Club. And that's where if you are working on something and you need a little bit more hands-on help, I can help you over there. So that's kind of like my little art club. These lessons are absolutely free. However, I do appreciate donations because I am sharing this with everybody and I'm sharing everything that I do know. So donations are appreciated, and you can send any way you would like to send donations to maggiemylow@hotmail.com, and that's exactly how you see it on my subscription page. We're just going to talk about what a substrate is first of all. So it is the material that the artwork is presented on. So it could be canvas, it can be glass, it can be wood, it can be skulls, it can be paper, but it's however the artwork is presented. So that's the substrate. So a lot of people think that when we, canvas is just exactly what it is, and it kind of sometimes does. People will just kind of convey the same word over for substrate or canvas, but I just wanted you to just have a little bit more clarification. So we are mostly going to be working on canvases. So I'm just going to kind of explain why it's called a canvas, and it's not really so much the way it is the material. So it's actually canvas or cotton or linen, but what it usually comes in like is this actual material right here. So this is raw. I think this is cotton. Again, it can come in linen or other materials, and this is how this would look if it didn't have any primer on it. So what a canvas is, I have here, it's most commonly used and it's economical to purchase. It can come in 3 different ways. So we have material, and the way to do that is you either can paint right on it and hang it. So here's just another piece here. And then you can buy some stretcher bars if you want, and then you can frame your own artwork. And that's how they used to do it. And then you can also buy them pre-framed. So this is called a stretch canvas, and that's because you stretch the canvas over the bars. Then they do come in different widths. We will talk about the different widths in just a minute. And then they also come on panel boards. And we talked about that a little bit before in the introduction when we talked about the supplies. So those are the 3 different ways they can come in. So typically when we do buy these particular canvases, they're already gessoed, or they call them primed. So if you're ever looking at the description, you're going to want to at least have something that says double primed. And that is for, if you're just wanting to go straight to painting onto the canvas. So this one, I just wanted to show you, they do come in different sizes as well. So this again is a panel board. So what's the difference between a stretch canvas and a panel board? This is primed material. So again, this material with gesso on top, we'll talk about what gesso is in a minute. So this is basically primed and put on the stretcher boards and sold like that. But the only thing that's different between buying the material and the stretcher bars, or like the stretcher bars and the framed canvas, these are limited to the sizes that are available. So they only come in certain very recommended or common sizes, I should say. And with the material and the stretcher bars, you're really limited to nothing. As long as the two corners meet or the four corners meet and you can put it together, you're not limited to any size. So you can create any frame you want. They do mostly come in rectangular or square. However, they are available in round. I don't have any round canvases here, but they're available in multiple sizes and different shapes. So it's just that they'll be stretched on a different kind of frame. So then the next thing, I'm just going to talk about what the panel is. They basically take the same type of material that's been primed and they just glue it onto just like a piece of like, I want to say maybe like cardboard or hardboard. I don't really know what it is, but I would assume maybe plyboard or something like that. And these ones are from the dollar store, so they're not primed. So I think they only have maybe one coat of primer on there, but they really soak up the paint. So I highly doubt it. So that is kind of the little bit of a gist on canvases. So let's talk about primed or gesso. So this is gesso. This is what can be put on material or a substrate to adhere paint. Now this is kind of what I have written for what is gesso, and I wrote it out pretty good, so I'm just going to say what it says. It says gesso is essentially a primer to make porous materials like canvas to a non-porous material, so paint will adhere to the substrate to be a truer color. Oh, I just put it in the paint like that. So this is, imagine a wall, like when you buy drywall and you're going to go paint on top of the drywall. Typically you put a primer on top, and that is so that the paint doesn't just soak right through to the drywall. You'll use less paint that way too if you use a primer. So that's kind of why you do prime your surfaces. You can buy colored primer and you can buy clear primer, clear gesso. So clear gesso and colored gesso, typically most common and the most cheapest is the white, just the plain gesso. So this is what it looks like. It's just basically looks like white paint. So this is the difference between white paint and gesso. You can't really even tell the difference, and some people will even use the gesso as white paint. However, it is not a true white. I know it looks white here, but when it dries, it's not a true white. So white is obviously true white. But so what this basically is, it's basically like a chalk or a polymer, like a filler. So that way it will fill in all the holes. Oh, that'll be a good example there. So it'll fill in all holes, say, of this paper. This is actually what we're going to paint on right now, to just kind of show you as an example. So this is your actual lesson. So we're just going to get right into it. I'm actually going to turn the book this way, and I'm going to actually, I got to stand on a chair and zoom in a little bit here. So let me just zoom in. All right, so now you can see I have a non-gesso side and a gesso side. And I want to just kind of show you what the difference is between a non-gessoed surface and gessoed surface. This would be no different if you were trying this on material or anything else. We're basically trying to take all the holes in this paper and cover it, like seal them in, so that way we can lay the paint on top instead of having the paint soak into all these little holes. And basically a paper is like a sponge, and same thing like a canvas. So we want to make sure our paint sits on top of it instead of soaking into it. All right, so I just have a big wide brush here, and I'm just going to paint this little box in. It's okay if I just go over a little bit, just go nice and slow. I do have a blow dryer just off to the side here. I'm shaking today. I'm really not, I'm tired today. I don't know why. Had a really crappy sleep maybe. Okay, so just seal this up. You're gonna notice it's gonna take quite a bit. I'm just gonna do a nice good coat. We will go over the proper ways to gesso. This is not the actual proper way. We're just gonna do a quick little example just to show the difference. Okay, so put that back in there, and I'm just gonna blow dry this. Okay, so that's pretty well dry. So we're just gonna do a very basic painting. And what I want you to do is, for your example, paint whatever you feel comfortable with. If you want to follow along, you can follow along. All I have is 4 colors here. I have a white, black, the cerulean blue, and some yellow. So we're just going to do a very basic landscape. We're going to do some sky. We're going to do some ground, and then we're going to do a very basic silhouette of a tree, just to give you a little bit of an example, and that way you can kind of get a gist of a little feel for brush movement, etc. So this is just teaching you brush control. So I'm just going to take some of this blue, let's move it over here, and you can see I'm not swirling the paint, I'm just kind of swiping the paint. So let's make a pretty little sky, and I just wanted you to do maybe to about be just lower than halfway. So, and just paint full brush strokes. So we're just going to go like this, and you're going to notice a huge difference when you go to paint. You're going to notice one side's going to take the paint better, one's going to move better, one's going to blend better. See, I'm already noticing it's really hard to even blend the paint over here as compared to here. I'm a very blended artist, so you can see like I can kind of take that paint and I can blend it out. So if I did the same thing and I took this blue paint and I go to blend it out, it's a little bit harder. So just wanted you to see the difference there. Okay, we're just gonna get it a little bit lighter as we get to the bottom here, just so that we can blend it up. Okay, I'm gonna say that's probably about halfway. I'm not really worried about, you know, this little scratchy bit here. Just rinse your brush out. So you can see that's just doing basic movements with the big wide brush. Okay, so let's get some grass in here. Let's get some nice pretty grass going. Let's get it a little bit. Oh, I got black in there. Didn't see that black spot. So if that happens, just go to this side and just paint over here. Oh, there's still a little bit of black on my brush, so that's okay. Okay, so let's just do a basic round. Notice which way I'm holding my brush to get that nice crisp edge. So just pay attention to which way I'm holding the brush for right now. We will get into proper brush movements and stuff like that as we get going on, but I just want you to kind of get a feel for how the brush moves while you're doing this. I'm always about variations, so pick up some yellow and etc. Make it look pretty. Try that yellow spot over here, see if it works out. Not really, hey? It's very hard to blend, so just like that. Okay, now we'll just hit that with a blow dryer real quick. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do a quick little tree right here for you. So we're just gonna do it right in the middle so you can kind of see the difference. So we're just gonna start with the tree right up in here. So we'll get into tree education in another lesson, but we're just gonna start like this. I'm not too fan of going straight black, but this is just very basic lesson. Okay. If you have shaky hands, you make the best trees, just so you know. People are like, I'm not good at doing trees. Yes, you are. We'll get into trees in a little while, but I just want you to kind of... Okay. This definitely paints better on this side. You can see I can even pull the paint quite a bit longer. Okay, I think I'm just about done with this brush, so we're just going to try a different brush. Okay, let's go to the liner brush. And this way. Okay, so that's on that side. So let's try doing some skinnier branches on this other side. It just kind of stops about here, just like I can't even pull the paint anymore. So let's do one over here. Oh yeah, definitely you can notice the difference. You can see I can pull that paint for quite a ways. Okay, put a couple more branches up in here. I always say they might as well just make it pretty, so let's just keep adding a few more branches up in here. Okay, maybe a little something up in here. Okay, now we'll just get into the very quick little, let's add a little shadow. We gotta add a little shadow in here. And a little darker green in here. Okay, so let's say the light's from this way, so let's just add a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so that is just a very, very good basic beginner painting. So I want you to try this out. So I do have the directions down here. So it's one gesso, a layer on, have a layer of gesso on the gesso side, let it dry, and then paint a basic landscape or image over the whole area, and then tell me what the difference is. I'm just gonna write the differences in around this area in here. And then that way you can kind of understand why we put gesso on. You can even feel the difference after when it's dry. So try the exercise out. Let me know what you think. And I hope you guys follow along, and we'll see you in the next lesson.